You spent years buried underground, awaiting the call of the world. Everything about you was created for one purpose: to sing. Scream so loud that its sound echoes like a call for love, for life, for existence. But when it finally rises to the surface, when its wings open and its song explodes like a storm, the world doesn't listen or pretend not to hear. And now you sing to no one, scream into the void. As your body ages, your voice fails, and your time is up. I slept for years, down there, in the damp dark of the earth, waiting for the right time. Waiting for the call, waiting for the moment when the world would open up to me. And I would finally sing, because that's what I was born for. Not for hunting, not to build, not to serve, but to scream. My body, since lava, already knew the sound, the vibration in the ribs, the pulsation of wings before they even existed. It was as if the song lived in me even before the voice. Down there, where everything was silent, I dreamed of the day when I would break the earth with my thin paws and would rise to meet the sky. With each season, I felt the heat increase, the roots changed, the humidity fluctuated, but I expected. And even without understanding time, something inside me said, "Wait, your time will come." And then she arrived, a breakup, a non-negotiable certainty. My body hardened, my skin broke, and I went up, clearing after clearing of land, sliding between leaves like a prisoner finding air again. The light blinded me. The air cut me off. But I smiled. Inside, I had arrived. And then, I sang. My first scream was more than sound. It was birth. It was existence. It was a roar of life accumulated for years beneath the earth. And for a moment, just one, I swore the world would stop to listen to me. But the world didn't stop. You land on a high branch, expand your wings, vibrate your chest. The sound explodes into the sky like a request to listen. And all that comes back is wind. I thought it was too early, that maybe the others were still climbing, that they would answer me soon, a chorus of screams that would meet in the air, dancing between leaves and thunder, but nothing came. No response, nor thoughtful silence, just indifference. And it hurts more than forgetfulness, more than death. Because when no one responds, you start to ask yourself, does my sound exist? Or is it only me who hears my scream? I kept trying. Day after day, branch after branch, each new corner carried more urgency, more pain, more despair. Please listen to me. I am here. I waited so long. I am. I am. But the world, she continued. The birds hunted. The wind was blowing. The leaves were falling. The trees didn't move for me. No one climbed from the ground, and I started to feel fear. What if no one is coming? What if I'm alone? What if I was the only one who woke up? The sky begins to darken. The temperature drops. Your throat vibrates faster, louder, stronger. But only the echo responds, and even it sounds tired. It wasn't just loneliness, it was absence. It was the horror of being ignored by the universe. Someone must respond. You can bear the darkness. You can handle the weight. But no one survives the certainty that their scream it doesn't matter, I continued. Not because I had hope, but because it was the only thing I knew how to do. My singing was everything I was. Every note that vibrates in my chest is made from the time I spent underground, of the dreams I built in the dark, of the promise that screaming would make me exist. So I screamed, higher, more time, deeper. I tried to change the tone. I tried to vary the pace. I summoned sounds I didn't even know my body could produce. I sang to the sky. I sang to the floor. I sang to the trees and the winds and the summer gods. But no one responded. The trees stood still. The leaves didn't even move. The forest was deaf, or worse, indifferent. Has it always been like this? And I believed too much in my own song. I started flying from branch to branch. Maybe it was the wrong place. Perhaps the right clearing was further ahead. Maybe the other cicadas were in another corner, waiting for me. They need to be waiting. Someone must listen to me. But all I found was wind. The forest was too big. The branches, all similar. The world immense and indifferent. And my song, even when it touched the sky, it didn't even make the dust rise. Every day my voice changed. It was hoarse. It failed. It cut. But I followed. Why stop singing? It would be the same as disappearing. You land on a crooked branch, the last one of the afternoon. His eyes stare at the golden horizon. You sing, far away, acute, desperate, and the sound comes back in the form of nothing. Night falls. The dark is colder than I remembered, and with it comes a different kind of silence. Not the one on earth, but that of disappointment. I wasn't born to be heard. I was born to scream and die screaming, because if no one responds, then its sound becomes an echo, and echo becomes anguish, and anguish turns into madness. I started seeing things, shadow of other cicadas that perhaps were just reflections, rapid movements that could be wind or ghosts. For a second I thought someone had responded, but it was just a flapping leaf, and that was the worst. Not silence, but the hope of sound, followed by emptiness. In the middle of the night, the cicada sings once again, low, weak, as if I were no longer there for the world, but only for herself, like someone who sings just to remember that she still exists. Maybe I was born wrong, or at the wrong time, or in the wrong world. Maybe there are no other cicadas, or maybe they all died waiting for a corner like mine. And if we're all singing at the same time and so high that no one listens to anyone, the thought breaks me, as if my scream was trapped in a bubble, as if I screamed underwater to a forest that never learned to dive. And I'm sinking. I thought about stopping. Yes, for the first time the idea crossed me with more force than the wind. What if I just shut up? Because singing is tiring. It hurts, and it hurts even more when no one responds. My throat, once made of thunder, now it squeaks like a dry leaf. The sound that comes out no longer represents me, it's a trail. Rue and I repeat the chant by instinct, but inside me, something has already died. And still I can't stop, because silence scares me even more. If I shut up, what's left? I don't build, I don't hunt, I just scream. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I confused mission with identity. Maybe the singing was just a desperate attempt to prove myself real. Because when the world doesn't recognize you, you shout to yourself, not to forget that you are alive. But am I? You watch its wings in the morning light. They are worn out, worn down by lonely nights. His body trembles slightly, not from the cold, but from exhaustion. You open your mouth to sing, but hesitate, close. The world remains silent. There's something cruel about knowing you're the only one singing. Not for beauty, but out of desperation. You become an alert. Biological error. A call ignored by the Creator himself. I started to hear the sound of other things. Birds, sheets, crickets. They live in groups. They understand each other. They respond. I am not. I am the noise that bothers you. The sound they try to ignore. The alarm that no one turns off, but no one answers. At the end of the afternoon, the cicada tries one last song. Brief, controlled, almost shy. She listens. Wait. The sound dies in the air like a hot breath. Nothing. Just silence. And then she cries. not with tears, but with the whole body. Down there I was hope, up here I'm just an echo, and even the echo is falling silent. I started to imagine what the end would be like. Not a tragic end, not a grand death, but a simple erase. Silent. Just one day, the sound doesn't come out. The body does not respond. And the sky, for the first time, my voice is lost. Would anyone notice? Would the world miss it? Would any leaf remember me? Probably not, and that is the sharpest pain I've ever felt. You walk along the branch as if looking for a place where the shadow itself could embrace you. His eyes look to the floor. You think, maybe silence is more honest than singing. But before deciding to remain silent, something in me lights up, weak but real. A memory. What if somewhere someone is also screaming, and if another cicada is singing, but too low for me to hear? That possibility holds me back. No matter how fragile it is, however unlikely, she gives me a choice. Continue. Even if no one listens, even if it's just for me. It was a cloudy morning with the grey sky and the lazy wind. What happened? I was perched on a leaning branch, trying to gather the strength to sing again, not knowing if I wanted to be heard or just remember that it existed. And then I listened. It wasn't an echo. It wasn't a leaf. It wasn't the hum of the world. It was singing, weak, distant, but undeniable. Someone sang. For a second I froze, as if the sound had come from inside me. But no, not this time. The scream wasn't mine. I didn't have my frequency. He had another soul, another pain, another cicada. The chest tightened, the wings trembled. A heat rose through my pores like an ancient, ancestral impulse. "I'm not alone," I shouted back. With everything, with hope and despair at the same time. The sound was louder than any before. It broke the air. It made the leaves vibrate. I waited. Nothing. The world was silent. Once again. Maybe you imagined it. Maybe the sound was just a mental reflection, memory projected by a mind on the verge of breaking, but something in me didn't let me forget. The next afternoon I sang again in the same tone, in the same direction. This time the sound returned, sharper, closer, with a unique variation, as if he had heard me and responded. It was real. It was someone, another, cicada, singing too. Maybe he always sang. Maybe we were just too far away to hear. I got emotional. My throat hurt, but the chest was full, not of relief, but with meaning. My scream reached someone. Someone heard me, and if a cicada heard, others can listen, too, even if they don't respond, even if they are trapped in their own silence. My singing was not in vain. My existence had sound, and sound is memory. You sing again. This time without despair, no fury, just presence. The sound echoes like a stretched out hug heading towards a stranger who perhaps also needs someone. I don't know if I'll see this other cicada, maybe never. Maybe it's too late. Maybe she's already dying, just like me. But what matters is that I will not die alone. Even if there is no meeting, even if we never touch, we were heard. And that's enough. Now I understand. The scream was not for an answer. It was to achieve, to cross, to leave a sign. In the last light of the afternoon, the cicada looks at the sky, no longer as an enemy, but as a stage. And he sings, knowing that even if no one sees, someone somewhere could be listening. The weather is changing. I feel it in the wind. I feel it on earth. My movements are slower, my heaviest wings. My voice cracks, but it doesn't hurt. Not like before. because now the scream is no longer despair. It's ritual. Every note that vibrates in my chest, it's goodbye. A will I exist, I screamed, and at some point, someone heard, even if for a moment, even if it was just a whisper between thunder. I don't know if the other cicada still sings. Maybe it's gone. Maybe he was silent. Or maybe you're waiting like me for the last note. And this one is coming. Tagged. Sun slowly sets, dyeing the sky with warm blood and golden dust. The cicada moves to the top of a high branch. Close your eyes. You feel the sound rising from within for the last time. I breathe, or something like that, and I let it all out. Everything. I was. Everything I kept on earth for years. Everything I turned into sound. Even when the world didn't want to hear. And it's beautiful. Simple. True, real. The note rises, lengthens, falls apart. It's my name. It's my story. It's the sound of someone who didn't have an answer, but he never stopped trying. And when it ends, there is no silence. There is an echo, a different echo. It's not an answer, it's permanence. The sound stays in the air, sticking to the leaves, stuck in the rocks, scratched in the sky. My body goes, but my voice stays, and maybe someday another cicada wakes beneath the earth, with his chest vibrating and his throat itching. And when she rises alone and scream for the first time, my sound will be there, mixed in the wind, whispering, "You are not alone. I didn't see me, but you heard me. Even if only now, even if only at the end my scream found your ear, and that it's all I ever wanted." Now one last note. If you've made it this far and felt that this story touched something inside you, a part that also screams and no one listens, a part tired of talking to the void, leave an echo, but not just any echo. In the comments, write, "I heard." This will be our secret corner, our signal that someone finally listened. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more voices that the world tried to silence. Here, even the ignored screams. There will be people who listen to them. We'll meet, you at the next sound or in the silence between them.